What's up? Welcome to our BLS podcast. I'm Fabrizio.
And I'm Jada. And for our project, we chose to focus on whether or not Puerto Rico should be an independent country. Our claim is Puerto Rico should become an independent country because it has its own distinct language, culture, and history, and lacks full political representation in Congress.
It is also unable to control its own economy, trade, and taxation, and continues to exist under a modern form of colonization. This is something people have been debating for years, and it definitely isn't an easy answer. But we're going to try to break it down, both for the reasons for independence and for joining the U.S.
Alright, so first up we have identity. According to ccrjustice.org, despite colonization, Puerto Ricans hold a strong sense of identity. Puerto Rico has its own culture, language, music, and even its own food. A lot of people feel like it's different enough from the United States that it should be its own country.
Yeah, but at the same time, a lot of Puerto Ricans see themselves as Americans. They've been U.S. citizens for over 100 years and benefit from that connection, such as freedom of travel and access to our federal programs. These type of things really help them out, and becoming independent will help them lose this right.
That's true, but current affairs says to this day, Puerto Rico has neither sovereignty nor political rights in the United States. Island residents cannot vote for the president and have a single non-voting right delegate in Congress. According to the U.S. Supreme Court, Puerto Rico belongs to, but is not part of the United States. So with this in mind, how equal is that relationship really?
Can't lie, that's a good point. So the next point we'll talk about is political freedom and self-determination. If Puerto Rico was independent, they wouldn't have to wait on the decisions from Washington. Instead, they could make their own laws.
Exactly. They have some local government now, but the U.S. still controls major stuff like federal funds, international agreements, and even shipping rules.
But to be fair, going fully independent might come with some hardship. As a matter of fact, some countries that broke away from their colonial powers ended up with major political or economic problems, such as Zimbabwe and Haiti.
Yeah, but Puerto Rico isn't starting from scratch. They already have infrastructure and skilled workforce, which is pretty important. So with the right leadership, it could work.
Yo, bro.
So let's talk about money. One big argument for independence is total economic control. Puerto Rico could make its own trade deals, set its own taxes, and decide how to grow its economy without having the United States all up in its business.
But on the other hand, Puerto Rico does heavily rely on U.S. federal aid. We're talking about disaster relief, Medicaid, and food assistance. All of these are major safety nets that could go away if they go through with the independence.
Sure, but that dependence can also hold the island back. Instead of always waiting for aid that's being outsourced or dealing with restrictions, independence might push Puerto Rico to build something more sustainable without having to rely on anyone.
Maybe, but definitely short term, it could be rough. Especially with how much debt they're currently in, I don't see it being an easy task. Their current debt stands at approximately $37 billion, according to the Financial Oversight and Management Board for Puerto Rico.
Okay, so one more big thing, colonialism. Puerto Rico's current status is often referred to as modern-day colonialism. I mean, it's 2025 and the island still doesn't have its full rights.
That's a great point. But some people would say the current setup actually benefits both sides. And when Puerto Ricans have voted in their referendums, independence usually doesn't win. So what does that really say? In the last referendum held in November 2024, independence only got 11.82% of the votes. So
yeah, but those referendums had low turnout, confusing choices, and independence hasn't always been clearly on the ballot.
that's fair. Still, unless there's a strong majority for independence, making that move could split the public even more, and nobody likes to divide a nation.
Honestly, I get why independence is favored. It's about having control over your own future, your own economy, your own laws. That makes sense.
Totally. But it's not risk-free. Giving up federal support, citizen rights, it's a big trade-off. You gotta weigh the pros and cons and see if it's worth it.
So after hearing what we had to say, what do you think? Should Puerto Rico be its own country, or is it better off staying connected to the United States? Let us know in the comments.
Anyways, thank you for listening to our project. Shout out to Professor Reynoso for the assignment. We'll catch you next time.
Bye!